This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Paragas, also known as King Japes here on YouTube, and I've been making photographs now just short of a decade. And over the years, I've gotten to try out so many different camera bodies, different lenses, really just experimenting to see what works for me. Now laid out in front of me are all the different tools that I need to be able to create the best possible photographs. So in this video, I'm going to break down what I pack for a regular, typical street photography kit. I want to explain every single piece of gear because each piece of gear in this kit is intentional and they enable me to essentially perform at my best. Now, when I go to the street to make photographs, essentially I want to take what's given in front of me and turn that into something beautiful. This is why I say the lens is the most important aspect to my photography kit. What I like to use on the streets is a 28mm lens. As I started to learn more about how to layer photographs, finding anchors, finding foreground, middle ground, I felt the 35 was still a little bit too tight. And that is where I landed on the 28. The one that I currently have on my camera here is a 28mm Voigtlander Ultron. And I feel like a lot of photographers love to shoot the 50mm or the 35mm. Those are the, probably top two. I personally do not like the distancing when using those lenses. But this right here, folks, is my Leica M6 with a 28mm Voigtlander Ultron. This combo right here has been with me all around the world. I've taken this through Asia to Europe, all across the United States. I mean, I put so many rolls through this camera. The 28 Ultron has worked great for me, and I don't really see a need to switch it out, in my opinion. And that's just me. And I realized that this was going to be my go-to setup because of the fact that it probably has made me my best images. And that's really the most important thing when it comes to finding the right tool for your photography. If you try out different lenses, different cameras, I get it, it's fun. But at the same time, trying out different stuff isn't always going to give you the best photographs. And if you simplify your process, find your favorite lens, your favorite focal length, you find a camera body that works for you, I feel like it's a lot more rewarding for your photography because you don't really need to guess anymore how to adjust a new lens, or you don't need to adjust to a different focal length that you don't always shoot. With that said, I do shoot digital from time to time. There's two cameras that I like to use for street photography. The first one here is the OM System OM3. This little camera right here. It's a micro four thirds camera, but folks, this is an absolute beast. When I went to Vietnam, my M6 had broke after dropping it in a night market, and the OM3 was my backup camera. And this camera performed so amazing in Vietnam that it literally was my saving grace. The photographs that I made in Vietnam has been some of my favorite work I've ever made. The other digital camera that I shoot often actually when I'm not shooting film is the Leica Q2. And the Q2 is extremely fun to use. It's kind of overpowering in my opinion. And something that I just want to make clear is, yeah, this is sort of what I'm using in the moment, but it doesn't mean this is what I'm going to be using forever. As I'm able to kind of refine my photography identity, and I'm sure it's going to evolve over the years. I mean, this is just my first 10 years of photography. I probably have a few more decades to go. I'm sure the camera gear that I use is going to change. Now, the rest of my street photography kit comprises of a couple of really important accessories. Some of these are going to not only be for the camera, but also for other people while I'm out on the streets. And I'm going to touch on that here at the very end. But before we get into that, I want to talk about something that has been an absolute essential in my photography career. And I feel like a lot of photographers these days, whether you are a portrait photographer, a street photographer, a landscape photographer, you need this in your life. And what I'm talking about here, folks, is a professional photography website. And that leads us into the sponsor for this episode, which are the good folks over at Squarespace. Squarespace is your all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Now, in my opinion, a photographer is not complete if you don't have your own professional website. This is where they're going to contact you. And, to have your own professional website is essentially telling the entire world that, hey, I am a photographer. This is what I do, and here is my work. And it establishes your name much more than I feel like a lot of people don't realize. Now, if you have no experience designing a website like me, Squarespace has you covered with cutting-edge design tools like Blueprint AI. You essentially just ask a few questions, and it's going to craft the perfect website for you. But you can also just start from scratch with one of their award-winning templates using the drag and drop system to create a website that is perfect for you. Now, one of the main reasons why I like to use Squarespace is because they have really beautiful portfolio templates. And if you're a photographer looking to sell prints, books, zines, digital content, Squarespace has the best featured e-commerce system that allows you to control inventory, your product photographs. There's also a wide array of different accepted payment methods, so your clients or your customers can pay whichever way they would like. So to get started with your own professional website today, head over to squarespace.com/kingjapes and enter promo code kingjapes at checkout, and you guys can get 10% off of your first purchase of a domain or a website. Huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. All right, so let's talk about some of my accessories when it comes to building the perfect street photography kit. One thing that I noticed with camera straps is that I like the shorter strap. Now, this is the Joe Greer X Clever Supply Co camera strap right here. And I guess the idea behind this is, it's closer to your face. So if you see something and you walk around, you can put the camera up to your face. But I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not how I use this camera strap. When I use this camera strap, what I'm doing is I'm wrapping it around my wrist and I kind of keep it like this. I don't know why, but this is just much more comfortable for me. And often you'll see me walking around. The camera is always right here on my chest anyways. But when I am shooting with my Leica Q2, the camera strap that I use is from Peak Design. And a lot of my cameras have the anchors for this, because this strap right here, this is the Peak Design leash camera strap. I love it because it's nice, it's thin, it's extremely durable. And the best part is it's adjustable. So when I attach it to my camera, I can essentially use it the same way I would with the shorter camera strap, either putting it on here or wrapping it around my shoulder and then keeping the camera kind of in this position. I don't know why, but this position just feels most natural for me. Now, I designed this kit to be as minimalistic as possible because the most important thing while you're out there photographing on the streets is staying light. And this is where simplifying your gear really kind of helps you improve your photography. Rather than fiddling around with all these other different cameras and having to adjust your mindset because now you're not shooting a rangefinder, you're going to move into an SLR camera. There's so many different aspects that you can think of that are going to distract you from the one thing that you're trying to do, and that is making images out on the street. All right, so here is the camera bag that I use. It's from a company called Clever Supply Co. Based out of Chicago, and they sent this camera bag to me a few years back, and I literally have fallen in love with it. There's been so many different camera bags over the years that I've used. This one right here solved all of my issues. Inside there is a compartment divider, and you can essentially compartmentalize the bag the way you want it. With that said, if I am shooting with my Leica M6, something that I often bring with me is a film case. This one right here is from Kodak. Pretty simple. You just put your film inside of there. Something that I also like to pack with me if I am bringing a larger amount of film, especially when I'm traveling, are these things right here. Now, if you guys have never seen these before, this is a Do Not X-Ray bag made from Sissy Lou. Shout out to Sissy. This is pretty important, especially if you're traveling through airports. You can ask your TSA agent to hand check your film. That way it doesn't have to go through the scanner and potentially cause damage. Now, I use this one about 90% of the time, but if I'm traveling to a country where there could be a language barrier, or if I just know they don't care about film, they're gonna put it through the X-ray scanner, I will bring one of these. Now, this is a lead lined bag, and the lead lined bag essentially allows you to put your film inside. It works the exact same, but if you pass this through a scanner, there is a lower chance for the X-rays to go inside and damage the film. I absolutely love these things. I'm gonna leave some links in the description below for you to check out. Now, I love shooting flash when it comes to street photography, but I don't always use it. But when I do, the flash that I've been taking out recently has been the Flash QM20. But once you lock it into place, you can shoot it this way, or you can take it off and give yourself sort of like a off-camera flash experience. And it's pretty inexpensive. You can actually pick this flash up for, I want to say, under $100. Now, the next item we're going to be looking at here is a lens cloth. Now, a lens cloth is absolutely essential. It's underrated, and it's something that really doesn't take up a lot of weight inside of your kit. So if you guys don't have a lens cloth already, I recommend you bring one. It helps out when you're facing adverse weather conditions. Maybe your lens is just filthy because you're, outside, but I always try to pack a lens cloth because I need it. And the last essential piece that is inside of this kit is something that I feel like you need to bring with you everywhere you go. It doesn't matter if you're shooting locally, if you're shooting on the other side of the world, everyone can understand what I'm about to show you. This right here, folks, is an art portfolio. And it looks pretty big because it is really big. This is one that I used to use when I did a lot of portraiture. I haven't opened this in a while, actually. Look at that. Oh my goodness. But a portfolio. You need to bring a portfolio everywhere you go. The reason for this is because you want to be able to show off your images to people if they question you. You're going to get people out there who are going to wonder exactly what you are doing. You know, you're photographing candidly, and somewhere along the line, someone's going to ask you, hey, did you just take a picture of me? Or what are you doing? What I personally like to do is carry around a little 4x6 pocket portfolio that fits into my camera bag that weighs less than a pound. Here are some 4x6 prints, you know, of some work that I've done in the past. And when people ask me, you know, what are you doing? This is what I like to show them. Like, hello, I'm a photographer. I like to photograph the human condition. Sometimes that does require me to photograph candidly. But as a result, I'm hoping to show the beauty of just everyday life. And you want to give them this, you know, spiel, I guess you could say. Because, you know, to the naked eye, to people that don't do street photography, it's confusing what you're doing. And in a lot of ways, it isn't always going to be a comfortable conversation to tell someone that you just like taking pictures of random people. You know, you need to show them the art that you're creating. You need to show them why you're doing it, the stories behind it, you know, and also kind of give them peace of mind that, you know, you're not someone who's looking to cause trouble or, you know, make someone uncomfortable. You're just appreciating the beauty in front of you. And not everyone's going to understand what you mean by that when you say, like, you know, everyday scenes can be beautiful, but at least someone out there is able to see these images and kind of get a better understanding of what you're doing, that there's no malicious intent with it. All right, but that is going to wrap up everything that I carry in my camera kit. Like I said, it's very minimalistic. There's no extra flashy, you know, lenses or gear. It's one camera, one lens, a ton of film if I'm shooting film, something to hold my film, and a pocket portfolio. That's literally my kit. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more street photography content, follow me over on Instagram at King Japes. It's where I share most of my work. Also subscribe down below. I have a huge giveaway at 200K that I cannot wait for you guys to get. So I'll see you in the next episode. As always, Minolta Gang.